right. Welcome to That's Derm Good. How's everybody doing? This is our first live recording on stage. I'm so excited to be here. So today my guest, Alena Chapman, biologic coordinator, medical assistant, and Dr. Christy Hawley.
Yes. That's Derm Good, yeah.
Give them a ring.
Yeah, that is Derm Good.
So the topic is really just continuing education and how important that is for us as biologic coordinators or access staff, and even you, Dr. Hawley, as a doctor. You know, continuing education helps us to grow, helps us to be able to help our patients better. So I'd love to just jump in and talk to you both. First, I want to hear, why did you choose dermatology, Dr. Hawley? We'll start with you.
Such a good question. So I'm the first Hawley to go to college, let alone med school. And when I started my journey, I really wanted to either be a psychiatrist or a pediatric oncologist. And then when I was on rotation in psych, my psychiatrist sat me down after I cried with every single patient that came through the door. And he was like, you need to do something happy. You will die inside if you do anything else. And I was like, well, I don't know what that means. What is happy? So I got so lucky that actually one of my surgery rotations got canceled and I got put on derm, and I was like, beep, 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 boo, 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 every single day. I felt like I was helping people, like I could see visible results, and I didn't go home crying most of the time. So honestly, that's such a silly answer, but that's exactly how I ended up in derm.
Yeah. What about you, Alena?
I didn't pick derm. Derm picked me. I ended up in derm because I was actually a nanny for an office manager who worked in a derm office. And when I left her to go do my big girl job as a phlebotomist, she reached out to me one day and was like, hey, I need a new medical assistant in my office. Are you interested? It's derm. And I was like, I don't know anything about derm. I know what acne is, but that's like where it ends. She's like, that's okay. We'll teach you everything you need to know. When can you start? And here we are, 13 years later.
Nice. I feel like sometimes that just happens. It chooses you, right?
It's meant to be.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right, it was meant to be, exactly. So, okay, Alena, tell me, in what ways can the access staff benefit from continuing education and to streamline those insurance approvals and the prior authorizations so that patients can get access a lot faster?
So continuing education is important for me because a lot of the things that I actually learned on my own by seeking out extra education, whether it was through other biologic coordinators or attending conferences, which have been few and far between up until recently. So I think just finding those extra conferences or even forums similar to Reddit, there's things out there, you just have to search for it. And I'm excited to be part of PAMS because that's exactly what we are offering, is just extra continuing education for medical assistants, biologic coordinators, because as we know, a lot of BCs and MAs are one and the same.
Yeah.
Not every office has a BC that does all the work for you. Your MAs are doing the floor and the biologics, so.
Yeah. So Dr. Hawley, what about your office staff? How do you make sure that they stay up to date and understand what's going on?
I mean, I think we know this is ever changing. Like every couple months, there's something different. You guys have all experienced that.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is amazing that you guys are all here. And again, I think I talked about that earlier, that I commend all of you and the physicians that you're working with that want you here. And Janelle, what a baddie. Like, this is so amazing that you have this podcast that is like here to actually improve and educate other people on access and all these things. So amazing. So just, everybody here seems to really care and wants to stay up to date, and you guys are such big advocates for patients. And so the fact that you're doing this and then listening to your podcast, and for me, keeping up to date is so important. There's a lot of physicians out there that just kind of have given up and haven't kept up to date on changes in healthcare and science, but I really want what's best for our community, and so finding any way to keep educated is a priority for me.
Yeah. So that being said, as a dermatologist, what ways have you found that help you stay up to date and know about, the new drugs that are coming out and learning about mechanism of action and all of these things? How do you continue your education?
So I'm really, other than my normal conferences and reading articles, I've said this before, but partnering with pharma and allowing them to have access is something that I really value because it's really impossible to keep up with everything. Like you get a million emails or you can read the JAMA, which is the derm journal, but allowing my reps to have access to me and have a couple of minutes to sit down with them and let them teach me about their new drug, and then I can go do a deeper dive, right? Like I always want to make sure that the education I'm getting is right. So letting them have that foot in the door and then partnering even with my bio coordinator to keep learning and keeping up to date is something that I do often.
Yeah. So Alena, as biologic coordinator, how has continuing education helped you stay up to date on new biologics that are coming out, that are on the market? And, the process is essentially the same, but every drug is different. So what have you done to keep up on that?
I have a really good relationship with a lot of my reps, all of my reps, especially when new drugs come out. I am really close to my FRMs as well because, let's be honest, if you're not close to your FRM, you ain't getting nowhere. So my FRMs are on speed dial in my phone, and if I have issues, I call them. But they help me stay educated in their access processes or help me get patients through. But interestingly enough, I use LinkedIn a lot too. I follow Dermatology Times. I follow, all the dermatology things, FDA I follow, just so that I can see when new drugs are approved, and that's usually the fastest way I can see it.
Well, I was going to say, one of the things is if we don't have an FRM that is being resourceful or useful, I will sit down with whatever company I'm working with and just say, hey, look, this is where I'm finding shortcomings with your company. This is why I'm struggling to get your drug covered, and kind of just share feedback with them. I'm very open and honest with my reps and the companies I'm working with because it's important. They want to be successful. They want us to be successful. So I think it's important to let them know if they're falling short and how they can help you better. Because there are sometimes some bad ones that just don't get it.
Yeah, I feel like that has happened before. It's like you go to your FRNs and your sales team, but what happens if the office is closed off and doesn't really have that access? Because I know that happens a lot where you don't have access to be able to go to a dinner program or have a lunch program in the office and connecting, or maybe your FRM is just not there. And unfortunately, that does happen sometimes. So I think it is important to be able to know who to connect with and reach out to your peers to get some of that information. I love talking to my group. I love talking to other coordinators that are in the trenches, that are facing the same issues. And it's crazy, all the things that happen through our process, but trying to get that knowledge and seeking and asking, I think that's the biggest thing. If you don't ask, you're not going to know.
And there's strength in numbers and knowledge, and the more that we can support each other, we're all colleagues and we're all fighting for the same thing. So the more that we can be there for each other, you guys connect with each other today or this weekend and then reach out to each other. You guys will all have different wealths of knowledge.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing as Dr. Hawley is that's kind of what this is for, to network with your peers, to meet other people, even from other states, because even though I live in Texas, I get insurances from all over the country, California, Oklahoma, and so I need to know how to navigate those insurances too. So having people like Tommy and Jennifer in other states, I can be like, hey, how the heck do I do this? So find your people. Get in that group text with them, because you just never know at 10 o'clock at night when you can't sleep. You can text that group and just be like, hey, I need help with this. I know you're sleeping, but text me in the morning and help me figure this out.
Yeah.
But that's what this is for, is to network with your peers and find your people that can help you.
Or just a good vent session. I do this with my colleagues all the time. I'm like, this shit sucks. And then they're like, me too. And then we feel better about it. So.
Okay, so along with the education of ourselves, that can really equip us to educating our patients better. Would you agree?
Yes, I agree.
How do you use that?
So for me, as a biologic coordinator, I'm going in to educate this patient on how they're going to do their injections, what to expect next. If I go in there timid, like, this is how you're going to do it, this is the brochure for you, they're going to be like, what did this lady even say? Does she even believe in this medication? But having the confidence and the knowledge to go in and say, this is the medication we're starting you on, this is how you do your injections, this is your brochure, I want you to look at it, this is how you do your copay card information, call me if you have any questions because we just gave you a lot of information, please call me. The patients believe what you're saying if you believe what you're saying.
Yeah.
And studies show that patients only remember 30% of an encounter. So I just assume they're not remembering anything you say. So anything you can do for patient handouts or like post-visit summaries or whatever is so helpful. And then if you guys scan that QR code, my handout was in there. And I think that's so helpful too, because it does discuss like insurance and all this stuff that's happening. Because the reality is we don't have time to like really sit with them and tell them all about healthcare. I wish I could. But anything we can do to help with education, because again, they're going to be mad at you when they call or their doctor or whatever for prescribing this expensive medication. When in reality, we need to let them know that we're doing what we can.
Yeah. And as a doctor too, when patients come in and they're like, they saw a commercial on TV and they want that drug. And, you know, if it's a new drug that came out or whatever the case may be, you know, have you encountered that before?
There are a lot of providers out there that don't really understand how to treat psoriasis or eczema or these more complex diseases. So they are the ones that kind of fall into whatever their patient asked for or whatever rep was there last. And so there's not much I can do for encouraging other practitioners to study it more or care more. But I'm hoping that, you know, the doctors and practices you're working for, that they are keeping up to date. You know, that's why they have you and value you. But I think that's just a reflection of the healthcare system. There's just not much time to care for a lot of, you know, like the pressure that's coming from insurances, there's just not time to think about it and care, which is a shame.
Yeah. So start with you, Alena. What is something that you wish more people knew about access, just in general? It doesn't have to be like specifically on biologics.
No is not no. Shouldn't matter what the insurance tells you. Just because they say no, it doesn't mean no for our patients. And that what our providers want for our patients is the gold standard. And that's what, as biologic coordinators, we should strive to do, is get that patient on that medication. The provider shouldn't have to choose what to prescribe just because insurance says, no, we're not interested in covering that. So no is not a no, just keep going.
Yeah, there's ways around it. There's things that, there's support, there's all kinds of things available. So, you know, not taking no for an answer, I think that's what makes the biologic coordinator role so exciting.
Yeah, you won't find many people that are like, give me that PA, give me that appeal, I'm ready to fight this insurance. But you come see me, I'm like, yeah, give me a good fight. I'm here for it because I love my patients, I love what I do. And as someone with a chronic disease, I know what it's like to have someone fight for me. And if I can do that for other patients, that's what I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
What about you, Dr. Hawley?
I mean, I'm going to sound like a broken record. I think we all know that I wish the community and patients knew what was really going on in healthcare and that we're all fighting so hard for them. And we're the ones getting attacked all the time because we're on the front lines, but we're not the ones controlling any of this. And I feel like a puppet a lot of times, that I'm told what to prescribe, even if I don't believe in it, doing whatever I can to get patients the right medication, like doing things that probably would seem like not kosher because I'm being forced to, so I can eventually get to what's correct for my patients. And I will do anything for them and fight a good fight. I just wish the community knew it wasn't on us. We're doing what we can.
Yeah, I mean, it all goes back to advocacy, and that's, you know, what we're doing is continuing our education so that we can become better advocates for our patient. And it's frustrating, I think, a lot of times, especially when we see our patients in the office and we know the things that they're going through and how it affects their quality of life. And really being able to advocate for your patient is an amazing thing. And I feel like that can get overlooked sometimes.
And you guys are doing that every day. So, you know, there probably are days where you're like, I don't feel like dealing with this. We'll just let insurance win. But like you were saying, like, fight the insurance companies. Don't let them win. You guys are advocates every single day, which I commend you. And I'm so grateful that you guys are all doing that. But even if you're feeling tired, you know what? Screw insurance companies. Fight for that person, because that's some human life. That's somebody's mom or dad or sister or whatever. It's going to be us eventually. So keep doing what you're doing. I appreciate you guys all for doing what you do.
Yeah, well, thank you too. I mean, the patients that come in, and you know, there's a lot of challenges to it, and you know, the access side, of course, has its challenges, but just generally speaking, and you know, working with our patients, I mean, it's a passion that we have, and I love that. And so let's end on a couple things. I want to find out what you like to do outside of dermatology, outside of work. Dr. Hawley, I heard you travel, right?
Yeah, I mean, besides my million cats, I love to travel and see other cultures and see things, the way things are done. And I just got back from Japan, and it wasn't like a thing that was on my bucket list, but my friends all turned 40, and that's where they wanted to go. It's like so community oriented and so well run, and everybody respects and takes care of each other from a young age, because we're all human beings going through the same thing in life, and we should be taking care of each other.
Yeah.
So yeah, anyways,
I went to Japan a couple of years
You
ago.
did?
Well, probably about 5 years ago. So, but
It's incredible.
It is amazing. If you've never been, and
you have the
should
opportunity.
definitely, that's one place you should go out of the country
I
and
go
visit.
every year.
Very, very safe. But yeah, it's a really
You can leave your
beautiful
purse on a
country.
bench for like 5 hours and it will still be there and never be touched, or someone will be trying to find you. It's so cool.
I was riding the subway and nobody talks. Like, if you have to get on the phone, you better go in the little section in the middle of the train and go
It's
have your phone
disrespectful.
call. It is so
It is.
disrespectful.
But you can lick the subway floor, it's so clean.
It is so
Everyone's
clean.
just very mindful of the person around them.
Very
And it was just
mindful.
very refreshing.
Very demure.
Very demure.
So, Alena, you are a photographer?
I am a photographer. I have been for many years. I just don't really advertise it, which I probably should advertise it
Too
more.
late. It's all over TikTok right now.
Actually, I don't TikTok, weirdly enough. I've been getting a lot of followers on TikTok, and I don't even post anything. I think it's spam. But back to photography. I am a photographer. I specialize in birthday shoots. So if you're having a birthday and you just want to celebrate with a photo shoot, I'm your girl, because they're my favorite to do. Just look at my Instagram. It's of my daughter's birthday shoots, because she's the cutest. But I am also currently working on doing a fundraiser for the National Psoriasis Foundation with my photography business, and I'm hosting a fall photo shoot to raise money for the NPF. So
That's amazing.
Nice. I love that. Way to put that to work. You know, I think it's great what we do, but we also have to be able to have that time to sit back and take some time for ourselves.
Yeah.
You know,
What about you? Can we hear about you and what you do for fun?
Mostly it's just travel, visiting family, wherever I can go and hang out with family and do, stuff like that. Shopping, one of my weaknesses. But also my daughter, she does dance, so, it's every day, all week long. Yeah, I mentioned earlier, I'm a dance mom now, so now I'm a proud dance mom. I'm not even mad about it. I just embrace it, It's not going anywhere anytime soon. So.
I'll be texting you for dance mom tips. Because
She can do the photography for you.
It's the dance mom. So, my little dance mom friends, we're like, all right, we're the cool dance moms. We got our little dance mom poses. I was never a dancer, so don't ask me to dance. It's not my jam.
Our goal tonight is to get her to dance at the pickle thingy.
Maybe after a couple, no, I try to avoid dancing at all costs. But yeah, it's a great way to relax and enjoy and, take some time away. I think it's so important, especially in our role of what we do, because we want to avoid that burnout, and the amount of people that are not going into the healthcare area because they don't want to get burnt out, or so many coordinators that I talk to are already burnt out because of overworked and not enough support, with what they do. And I think that's so important to take that time and, figure out what works for you. How can you rejuvenate yourself and just kind of get your mental sanity
Martinis
back?
help.
Martinis can help. But thank you both for joining me.
Thanks
This was
for
such a
having
pleasure.
me.
It was so
Yeah.
fun to have you guys in the audience. And if you are interested in being on the show, let me know. It's very laid back. I like to have fun. I like to just have
And
chill
dance.
vibes.
She loves to dance.
Yeah, no dancing allowed. But thank you all. It was great.
Yeah, thank you.
Congrats, you did it. You're awesome. I'm so proud of you.
Thanks for spending a few minutes with me and listening to That's Derm Good. You can expect new episodes of That's Derm Good every week. The podcast is available on your favorite app, including where you're listening right now. Subscribe to the podcast so you never miss a new episode. Bye.